Hello number ones and welcome to Metatrons Academy. Today I found a very interesting video to check out with you. Alright, so what we've got here is a video called My Grandfather Met Napoleon, Bertrand Russell interview 1952. It's of a gentleman who was born in the late 1800s. It comes from the channel Life in the 1800s, so you'll find a link in the description below and in a pinned comment. What's interesting about this is that we're going to analyze his speech pattern, pronunciation characteristics and key features of the accent of a man who was born in the Victorian period. And even though we have done this several times on this channel already, we have mostly done it with early American accents of this period. Well, this man was from Wales. Get ready. Alright, so I'm going to let it play for about 1 minute and 45 seconds just to get a feel to his accent so we can focus on the sounds. Do see if you noticed any peculiar pronunciations that really sound old school to you. Then I will pause and begin a deep linguistic analysis. If you want to skip the section where I don't interrupt him and you wish to move into the analysis immediately, please use the chapters provided below.
I was born in 1872. My parents died when I was still an infant, and so I was brought up by my grandparents.
Can you tell us something about your grandfather?
Yes, I can tell you something about my grandfather. He was born in the early years of the French Revolution. He was a member of Parliament while Napoleon was still on the throne. In common with all the Whig followers of Fox, he thought English hostility to Napoleon was excessive, and he visited Napoleon in Elba. It was he who introduced the Reform Bill in 1832, which started England on the road towards democracy. He was Prime Minister during the Mexican War, during the revolutions of 1848. I remember him quite well, but as you can see, he belonged to an age that now seems rather remote. And the world where I was young was a solid world.
Already this final sentence I think is something that we can all relate with, right? I mean, I think about the 80s and the 90s when I was young. Perhaps someone watching this video of mine in 2125 will think the same thing. Who knows? Alright, okay, there are already a lot of things to analyze. Let's see if you noticed any of these.
I was born in 1872.
Okay. I was born in 1872. This is what is normally called a rising terminal, also known as a uptalk, upspeech or high rising terminal. It's a characteristic of some accents in the UK and in Australia, usually in modern English as well, but it's done in a different way when we listen to someone who was from the Victorian period, where this characteristic was very common. To be specific, a high rising tone is a speech pattern where sentences, including statements, tend to end with a rising intonation, which is usually a key feature of questions instead. Now, there are several reasons as to why some speakers do this. Sometimes it's a matter of uncertainty, other times it's a matter of avoiding sounding confrontational, but then other times instead it's also a matter of not being finished with a story. And so, in a way, perhaps subconsciously, it's the way some speakers avoid being interrupted. But when you go into the Victorian period, then oftentimes it's connected to status. So it's upper class speech. You'll hear them say things such as I do. And if you notice in the first minute and 30 seconds, he did it 2 more times. Let's look for them.
1872. I remember him quite well. Knew something about my grandfather that now seems rather remote. Yes, I can tell you something about my grandfather. Reform Bill in 1832.
Alright, let's move to the next characteristic.
Can you tell us something about your grandfather?
Yes, I can tell you something about my grandfather. He was born in the early years of the French Revolution.
Did you notice how he pronounced revolution rather than revolution? So, liu instead of lu.
He was born in the early years of the French Revolution.
Of the French Revolution. So what's happening here? The linguistic phenomenon we've just seen is called Yod-dropping. And this has become a key difference not only between some of the ways certain older pronunciations functioned and modern ones, but even between regional varieties of modern English. Think about it. in British English, specifically received pronunciation, the words duke, stupid, and duty do have the Y sound, or Y sound, in between the consonant and the vowel, but in American English, this is usually dropped. This results in pronunciations such as duke, stupid, and duty. As far as the historical development is concerned, Yod-dropping in American English became noticeable during the 18th century, influenced by various factors including different immigrant languages and local dialects in the developing American colonies. So even in the period of this man, he would have sounded particularly English, not only in the pronunciation of words such as the ones I just mentioned, duke, stupid, duty, but also revolution. Linguists theorize that the reason why Yod-dropping happens is a matter of efficiency. In other words, it was a way to simplify and expedite speech, making it easier and quicker to pronounce.
My parents died when I was still an infant.
Did you hear how he pronounced parents? Parents? He said parents.
Parents died when I was...
Parents. A definite trilled R. Once again, a characteristic of old school accents. What's interesting is that as you go further back in time, yes, English did used to have a rolled R, particularly in Old and Middle English. However, this sound, also called trilled or tapped R, was gradually replaced by the modern English approximant R, a bit like the R in red. Historically, this change happened primarily in southern England and eventually spread to other regions. This is what is normally called a sound shift, and it does happen in several languages, even though the R pronunciation of the R still remains the most common. The reasons are once again mostly social. The shift to the approximant R sound in London is often associated with a change in the prestige dialect, potentially influenced by social factors. Although the evidence of the change is late medieval. In fact, we have written documents from the 15th century onward which show sporadic loss of the post-vocalic R, so the R after a vowel. In summary, the rolling R in English was gradually replaced by the modern approximant, likely due to a combination of natural sound changes and social factors, and while there are still some regional dialects that retain it, it is no longer a standard pronunciation in most of England and North America, although the R as a trill is still found in the Scottish and Irish accents. Next.
He was a member of Parliament while Napoleon was still on the throne. In common with all the Whig followers of Fox, he thought English hostility to Napoleon was excessive.
Did you notice how he says, instead of saying excessive, he says excessive? It's a very very closed vowel. This is specifically a result of a vowel shift, where certain vowels have moved in pronunciation, creating a noticeable difference within various accents. Now, this shift isn't random, it's a chain reaction where the movement of one vowel can influence the position of others. Interestingly enough, even though in modern English, whether it be in America or in England, the E sound, a more open, tends to be more common in sounds such as bet, red. If you look specifically at, for instance, the Kiwi accent in New Zealand, then you'll notice that a lot of words have maintained this specific type of shift. So, bit, bet, and bat get pronounced as bet, bit, and bet, respectively. And if you want to know more about these vowel shifts, particularly the great vowel shift, I would recommend a video I've already made recently about how English sounded in the medieval period. You'll find a link in the description.
English people certainly regarded English naval supremacy as a sort of law of nature. Britannia ruled the waves. It didn't occur to us that that might stop. Never thought.
Even with Bismarck?
Bismarck was regarded as a rascal and was thought of as a sort of uneducated farmer. But it was assumed that the influence of Goethe and Schiller would gradually bring Germany back to a more civilized point of view.
Even he says Beck instead of back.
And moreover, we thought of Germany as only a land power. Germany had at that time no navy. We weren't at all afraid of Germany. In fact, liberal opinion was more favorable to Germany than to France at that time. Bismarck himself compared Germany and England to an elephant and a whale, each formidable in its own element, but no danger to each other.
Yeah, and this is it really is crazy that this recording is from 1952, so already the entirety of the Second World War had happened.
And that was how we felt, so we were not afraid of Bismarck at all. It was thought that there was going to be ordered progress throughout the world. Gradually, every country was going to take to parliaments. There was going to be a bicameral legislature and two parties, and it was all going to be exactly like England everywhere, all over the world. My grandmother used to laugh because one time she said to the Russian ambassador, "Perhaps someday you will have a parliament in Russia." And he said, "God forbid, my dear Lady Russell." Except for the first word, the Russian ambassador at the present day might give the same answer. But that was the assumption. It was all going to be orderly, all quite nice.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. I think I have identified what I needed to when it comes to the discussion. I'm not going to watch until the end so that you can go and do that in the original channel that, of course, found this recording and uploaded it for us. I hope that you found this one interesting. If you wanted me to make more, please let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching Bertrand's Academy. Bye.